back. Today I'm excited to be joined by somebody that I've worked alongside for many years now, and someone who has a pretty rad story. So thank you to all of you that are checking out the Build Your Empire podcast. Don't forget to head over to Melanie Brandt on YouTube as well, because I think some of the podcasts we're actually doing some pretty crazy stuff on the video as well. So you'll be able to see that there. So today we're joined by Lorien Cameron, who, like I said, has been someone who has built his empire alongside me for many, many years now. And both of our lives have taken a total shift, but it hasn't stopped us from still chasing that empire, still building our vision. So welcome, Lorien. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hey Mel, thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah, for sure. So today, look, we're gonna share some pretty cool stories about what life used to look like. So let's just kick it off there. Life hasn't always looked like what it does for you now. As a dad, as a successful businessman, it didn't all start there. And I think sometimes people get that idea where they think, you've just been handed a silver spoon, or you were just one of the lucky ones, or maybe you already had a huge following on social media when you started your business, right? And it's utter bullshit, because that's not what it looked like. So tell me, what did life used to look like for you?
Well, I grew up in a little town called Byron Bay. Some of you may be familiar with it, out in the hills, and little hippie child. My parents didn't really have a job or work per se. And so, yeah, I never really had that kind of role model. I had a pretty rough, time in school. And my blueprint of the world was, I don't want to have a job, and I don't want to go to university or anything like that. And we didn't have much money. Compared to what? I mean, both my parents didn't really work, so we come from that. It was pretty tough at times, and so I think through watching like the Hollywood movies, and I got this idea of what success looked like, and so I was always kind of ambitious, I guess. If I look back, I had a bit of a desire for something greater in life. I didn't know what that was. And, I went through some hard lessons as a youth, very hard lessons. I needed to learn the hardest way before I actually learned the lessons. And then got heavily involved in martial arts and personal training, fitness. And I think that really saved my life. I was definitely dancing on the tracks a little bit.
Yeah.
And yeah, that kind of really started to shape me. And one of my mentors got me into personal development, Tony Robbins. And I remember driving my old little crappy 4-cylinder car that had a big exhaust pipe on it. And putting in these CDs from Brian Tracy and Tony Robbins, and on my way to training, I'd be filling my mind with this stuff. And, that was really, I think, the beginning of where I started to change my poor mindset and the limiting beliefs. And I had a lot of them, I didn't believe in myself. I didn't love myself. There were times, that I was addicted to drugs. I was suicidal, and I really, really battled, through those years. And then it got to the point where, a big rock hit me. And, a great mentor said to me, if you don't pay attention, life's going to throw the small pebbles at you, the bigger rocks. And then, if you're not careful, a boulder's going to hit you. And so I made a big life change. And I think, it stripped my ego back to just bare nothing. I literally had nothing. I didn't even have a car. I was working in the supermarket, and I was 25 years old, and I literally was a clean burnt to a crisp, you could say. And that really lit a fire deep inside of me. I knew that I was worth more. I knew that there was more out there for me. And I just, I came back. I literally came back because I actually went away for not to jail or anything, but I got away I went to the snow and just got away from, the environment, the toxic environment that I was in. And I came back and I moved, up the coast and just made a decision that, whatever it took, it was like now or never. I'm 25. If you don't it's like a switch went off in my head. If you don't pull it together now, you're going to be one of those freaking deadbeats down at the park talking about, what they were and what had been and what could have been. And so crushed it in some different career paths and training and, really excelled, and then came across, I know I haven't really given you a break here, but this is kind of the story of, how I went from zero to hero. Yeah. And it definitely wasn't a straight line. There's been many ups and downs on that journey as well.
Mm. And it took you to hit rock bottom, right? Because I think, the picture that we don't want to draw for people is, like you said, that it's a straight line and, all of a sudden you wake up and you just get your shit together. It's like, fuck no, you're ready to kill yourself. You're ready to take your life. You're ready to fucking end it all. You've had enough. This is bullshit. Like, that's the point that you get to when change happens, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was the same for me as well. It was like, fuck, I'm either going to end this or I'm going to change something.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So tell me, like, in that moment where, on that day where you made that decision, because there was a space, time and location that commitment was made on that day. What were some of the first steps that you took? I know you said you started, personal development, you started the PT journey, all those things. Like, what were some of the things that needed to change in your life? What were some of the steps that you took? Because I know a lot of the listeners on this podcast, whether they're in business or not, like, shit, I didn't even know what personal development was. So some of these little tips that we share can be game changers for people listening. So what was it for you?
Yeah, I think I really had can we swear on here?
Oh, mate, if you don't, I'm going to kick you off.
No, I really had a fuck it moment, like this is actually bullshit. Walking to work, working at the checkout, I was just doing whatever I could to survive at the time, I was just like, mate, what the actual, and so I just knew when I came back, I knew the first thing I had to do was change my environment. So I didn't move back to where I was. I moved further up the coast. It wasn't far. It didn't have to be a big change, it was a few suburbs. Just to get away from the environment, the people that I was in, because we're the average of the 5 people we hang out with the most, and we want to fit into whatever environment that we're in. So I moved up the coast, and it wasn't just like all of a sudden I was hanging out with all these successful people and I became successful. It wasn't like that. We're talking 10, 15 years of a journey, but I was determined to better myself, and I was listening to the CDs again, and I was training, and I was hanging out with people that were healthy, fit, and, going places wherever that was. And then I guess over time, the different circles that I started to associate with, I did come across an incredible community of, highly successful people. And we achieved some, I achieved more than I ever would have dreamed possible. I said to my mentor, I said to him, look, I can see you guys are onto something. I can see that this is a vehicle. So this is the challenge, right, that I had, is that, I was the store manager of bloody IGA down where I was at was like, dude, you could be a store manager. You could make $100,000 a year. And I was thinking about that. And I was like, mate, you live in this store 100 hours a week. And nothing's worth. I just thought, that's not me. That's not going to be me. I knew there was something more. And so I came across a vehicle that could help me, that I could see people were making incredible income, having a great lifestyle. And I thought, I want what you guys have. I've got the desire, I've got the work ethic, but I don't necessarily have the how. Like, how are you guys, creating an income online? How are you guys crushing social media? I didn't have the tangible bits. So I just said, mate, just point me in the right direction. Tell me what to do, and I'll do anything. Like, I'm at it. And so, over the next 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, we created a lot of success in that environment, that community, that business model, which opened my eyes up to a whole nother level of playing field that's out there as well. And we got to meet very successful people. We traveled around the world and went to seminars and, paid for, I think 1 year I spent more on personal development and seminars and, high level masterminds and stuff than, I ever made in my job, or if most people even make in a year in their job. And it was one of the best investments that I'd ever made. So I think this number 2 tangible thing that people can take away, number 1 was the environment. Number 2 is it was investing in yourself. And this is what I learned from the personal development is the best investment you can ever make is the investment you make in yourself. And it's so true.
So true. I don't know about you, but I held off for ages because I was like, I don't want to spend that money. I don't see how, dropping 20 grand is going to get me anywhere until the day I did it. And it was like, holy shit, why didn't I do this ages ago? And now it's a non-negotiable, absolute non-negotiable. So, like you said, with all the personal development, I know for me, there was a certain book, there was a certain, Netflix documentary or whatever. There was a certain something that made me go, you're kidding me. I didn't even know this existed, right? And for me, it was The Secret. What was it for you? What was that? And I know there's probably heaps, but what was that one book, the one audio, the one video? What was that one thing that you just went, you're kidding me. I never even knew this existed.
Look, I think it would, if I think right back to when I was driving that little shit box, I was listening to Tracy, and I can't remember exactly which CD set that it was. There's Eat That Frog. There's his 21 Ways, and I kind of read. I've listened to so many. I can't remember. But yeah, Tracy audios, and it was in the CDs. Now that was kind of where I started, and there was a bit of Tony Robbins there, but it was specifically Tracy. That's where it started. But there was one seminar. That kind of unlocked the key. Yeah. And for me, that's when I actually got off the CDs and actually went to a full immersion 5-day Tony Robbins date with, and I didn't do UPW first. I went straight to the Date with Destiny. Yeah. And they literally just, Humpty Dumpty gets ripped apart and put back together again. So they just turn you inside out, right? And that was just a whole nother level of kind of personal transformation for me. And I was just on fire. I had a vision, I had a goal, I was laser focused, and nothing was ever going to stop me. I really tapped into that personal power from there. Now, since then, there have having a young family and kids and business challenges, I kind of did slip back into some of the old thought processes, and really I was lost for. And this is a guy that had created a multiple $1,000,000 business, if you equate it to business value. Yeah. Crushed it at the highest levels and ranks, and this guy completely lost himself as a stay-at-home parent. And I hit rock bottom again very recently. Yeah. And so, on the theme of this is that, just because you're crushing it, just because you're killing it, I thought I was bulletproof. I thought nothing could stop me. I didn't think there was a time where no challenge, no challenge or mountain was too great for me. And I was wrong. The challenge of 2 young kids at home, and you fall out of your exercise routine, you fall out of your personal development routine, and it's like ding dong, like, mate, you're not as bulletproof as what you thought. Business suffered, challenges in there. And so it's only literally just recently that I found my fire back. I found my spark, because I realized that I lost my purpose. I lost my meaning in life.
Yeah.
And, we've just been crushing it ever since.
Yeah.
Because I tapped back into what is my real purpose. And it's not a company. It's not a product. It's not anything else, but it's within me.
100%.
And I think there's no greater meaning to, I realize that I need to be helping and serving others every day, and a bigger purpose.
Yeah.
And everything else is falling back into place.
And I love that you share that, because, it is true. I think, social media literally highlights the real. We know this, and, I was in a similar situation where, it was only recently that life fell apart. It absolutely fell apart. But, when you have, like you said, the right people around you, you don't tend to not stay there. You might stay there for a little bit, or a few months or 6 months or whatever, but you're not going to spend the rest of your life there like you would have 10 years ago, 20 years ago, right? We sat in those places for a really, really long time. So, getting back on your feet, I guess, what would you say to somebody who's in that funk right now? Because there's going to be so many people I know that are in this situation right now, and they're like, come on, Lorien, give me the answer. Give me the secret sauce of what I've got to do. Like you said, it's about reconnecting with yourself. And I remember someone saying to me, Mel, all you have to do is live within your values. And I thought, what a crock of shit. So you're telling me all I need to do is communicate, educate or inspire, and have adventure, because they're my 3 top values. So how the hell am I going to make money from that? Like, that's crazy. And I remember looking at this person and thinking, I can't believe people pay you as much as what they do. And now I'm over here like chomping on my words, because all I'm doing now is living within my values, and I work less than I ever have and earn more than I ever have. So
absolutely.
Share your portion of what that looks like, because I know like I said, there's plenty of people that are going to be in that funk listening to this, and there's something missing for them right now.
Yeah, and that something for me was a compelling future. Where I was, I didn't feel like I could help my people win anymore. Yeah. And we found a way to help more of our people win, and ultimately, if we can help more of our people win, then we're going to win as well. So I had a compelling vision and goal and future again. The future looked bright again. I could see the light at the end of the tunnel again. Yeah. So that's what I kind of lost. We found a new vehicle that was, it was built for the future, an incredible business model that I could get excited about again. And, when I lacked the vision and I lacked the purpose, everything was all too hard. Yeah. I couldn't even get out of bed, and the kids are screaming, and there's not time for anything. And once I refound that, once I found a new vision, a new path for us and for me, and I felt like we could win again. Yeah. That's what just triggered the spark again. I'm like, what am I doing? And so I a couple of tangible steps that I took was I just knew I had to get back into a routine again. I knew that I had to start my day right. Through the sleep deprivation, kids up all night and this and that. I had to have a conversation with my beautiful fiance and business partner, Sarah, that, hey, the most important thing for us right now is me getting back on track with my mindset, with my physical body, with the food that we eat, everything like that. The most important thing is that we get me right first, and everything else is going to, come, flow from that. So I think routine and doing that, having that little bit of time for some meditation. Do you want me to just run through a couple of steps?
I'd love to know, like, what did your day, obviously it's gone from absolute shitstorm, kids, like you said, sleep deprivation, you've not eaten correctly, you're not loving yourself, you're not making time for yourself, because this is what kids do, right? But, what were those exact things that you then changed for your, what did your morning look like from then on?
Yeah, and I'm just going to go back a step. I went from having, a set routine. I was like, okay, highly effective, successful people have a set routine and nothing's going to, and even when we had the first kid, I could kind of keep that routine. Yeah. When we had the second kid, 2 under 2, Sarah was only 4 months postpartum, we were pregnant again. Once the second kid came along, that just knocked us for 6. Routine was out the absolute window. Managing 2 kids on, that age on your own, for Sarah is just not realistic. So we went from complete, like, I'm crushing it, I'm killing it routine, to no routine. And then, yes, back to getting that routine. So my routine consists of, number 1 is doing some breathing, the Wim Hof breathing, which you just reduces that stress, centers you again, quietens the mind. And then I go into, I might do the Tony Robbins, what's it called? I don't know what it's called right now. It's just slipped my mind. But his 15-minute morning ritual, or I'll do my, which basically consists of, so I'll either do it with him or I'll do it by myself. Basically consists of some gratitude. So I just meditate on what I'm grateful for, and then I'll think about, okay, what are my top 3 goals that I'm focused on, and I'll visualize that. And then I'll get the body moving, and might do a little bit of stretching somewhere there. Usually might start with stretching first, but then go into some power statements, affirmations, that kind of thing. And really, so I sort of go from 0 and just work myself up into, a powerful state through those affirmations, visualizations. And then it's really about, okay, well, maybe some exercise or get through. Usually by that stage, like, I'm absolutely fired up to get at it for the day. I want to get into the income producing activities, things that are going to really move the needle in our business. There, because I'm in a peak state.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it big realization for me, and this was many years ago now, is like, stop fucking blaming. Stop looking around for the answers everywhere else. Like, you've got the answers, you just don't want to do it, or you don't make the time, or whatever excuse you come up with that day. So you obviously became really aware. You became really aware of the patterns and the stories that you were telling yourself that weren't serving you, and you found a way to change that. No one did it for you. The business that you started off in didn't do it. The people around you, okay, it makes a massive difference who's around you, but you did it all. You did every single little bit of that. So if you were to say to someone now who is building their business online, what's one of your biggest tips when it comes to business online?
I just want to just regress a little bit there. I went from a teenager that blamed the world for his problems, hated everyone, hated everything. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but there were times where I just felt so broken that, and it was really because living in a victim state of. And that is, you nailed it on the head. When I took responsibility for my life, ultimate responsibility for my life, that's when things started to change. Okay, if it was to be, it was up to me. There's nobody's coming to save me. And so, yes, you're absolutely right. And I did slip a little bit back into that mentality there for a while, and have had to become very conscious of reprogramming and what's going on in the back of the mind, and catching those thoughts like, I completely forgot who I was. I completely lost my identity. But the thing is, it didn't take me long to get back on track. And it's not about, and I think this is coming to the point that we're making. What's the tip? It's not if we get off track, because we're all going to get off track. It's how long do you stay there? How long are you going to live there? Because you can get back on track in any moment. And it sounds easy. However, when you're in that negative thinking and you're in that negative environment, it's not always as easy just to flick it by a switch, but it does become a habit. So when you start catching yourself slipping into those thought processes and those sorts of things, you catch it. And, right now, I mean, I'm feeling bulletproof again. We're crushing it. I feel unstoppable again. And so it doesn't mean that you can't get back there. So I want to, if you're an entrepreneur, I'm telling you, you're going to face challenges. No matter what it is, what profession that you're in, you're going to face challenges. Yeah. I remember a mentor, a coach saying to me one time a few years ago when we were just like in huge momentum, nothing could stop us. He said, "What's your biggest challenge in your business right now?" And I just said, like, literally nothing. Like, we are absolutely blowing it out of the park. And he said to me, and I'll never forget this, he said to me, "Okay, well, that's awesome. That's great. I love it. There's going to come a time when things are not going to be so easy. There's going to come a time where you hit a wall. And I want you to know that it's coming. Because if you know that it's coming, you can better prepare for it." Yeah, and I was kind of like, I got it, but I didn't really get it. And so, yes, we hit some roadblocks, and and we've worked through them over the years, and we've got back to a great place where we are now. So that's my big tip.
Yeah, and I love that. And if I was to do my time again, where I started in the online space, you know what, mine would probably look similar. Like, while you're crushing it and you're high and everything's just peachy, like, just know that there's some fucking big lows coming. They're coming, and that doesn't mean that you need to stop enjoying the highs, but it doesn't do this. Right? And especially online business, because you're compressing, so many years into such a small amount of time. I call it business bipolar. I mean, if you were to look at it on a graph, like, it looks like this constantly, and those ups, they happen, but the downs come just as quick. So I think, and you'll probably agree on this, like, having a really strong support that outside of your business as well, like you said, mentors that aren't in your business, they can see things that we don't see, and if you're not investing in your business and you're investing in mentors, then good luck trying to chew on that stuff yourself.
And knowing when to pivot, I think, it's at the end of the day, it's one thing to keep pushing and push harder and digging deeper and let's go and, just bust through it and all that. And then it's like at the end of the day, like, how long are you going to keep flogging dead horse? Like, you've got to know when it's time to put things to bed and change direction. And I'm not saying that you should, do that lightly. And I'm not saying you should do that at the first sign of a challenge. However, at some point, maybe you get some feedback from people who are not invested in that decision, that have an outsider's viewpoint, completely unincentivized, I think is the word, the viewpoint of where you're going in life and what you should be doing. And for me, I literally jumped off a cliff. I literally jumped off a cliff into the unknown without a parachute. Just recently, and it was incredibly scary. However, something that I'm actually now so grateful that we've done, because I know there's a whole wide big world out there of opportunity if you have the right mindset and support network around you.
So true. You've got to stay so open-minded, and I think, it doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter whether you have a job, whether you're in the online space, you become the people around you become like sometimes a little bit of an encasing, where it's like, just look over here and just keep looking over here, don't look over there. Because when you are powerful, when you are strong, and when you are driven, of course people want to keep you right where you're at, right? Like, it makes total sense. But, you know, I think the best thing for your business mind is to stay open to new ideas and other ways. And you know what? Like, I mean, shit, the most successful people have got 8, 7, 10 income streams. You know, you don't get those things by being closed-minded. So, you know, that was a big thing for me, was obviously staying so true to where I came from, you know, staying humble to where I came from and what life used to look like, always remembering that, but always being really, really, really open to, hey, I don't know everything. I have no idea. There's all these little things online that are popping up, you know, people are mentioning, and I'm like, I don't even know what that is. I wouldn't even know how to do that. And I know that you understand that. So, Lorien, I really appreciate you know, being so vulnerable with, you know, your story and what life used to look like. So share with us before you go, you know, if there, you know, you've given your advice on what you think people should focus on when it comes to, you know, building their business and those tips. But if you were to share, you know, moving forward, what is that one thing that you could say to someone listening now? Like I said, they might be in a rut, they might be crushing it. You know, what's that one thing that you want them to remember that, like you said, maybe somebody said to you? Not to put you on the spot.
My nana always said to me, where there's a will, there's a way, right? She said, where there's a will, there's a way. And it was just, I never really understood that as much when I was young. However, as I've gotten older, I really do understand, you know, what she means. And she gave me such a huge gift back then. Who knew that, you know, little old Nana would hit home so powerfully. And I think it's just so important, guys. You know, nothing that I've told you has been about how to build an online business. Everything I've spoken about today has actually been about your mindset. And to guard that mindset, guard your physical health, guard your personal growth, and, you know, really, you've got to guard that like everything, because if that starts to slip, everything starts to slip. You know, we can sit here and tell you the latest, greatest hack online and blah, 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 but you know what, if you don't have the mindset, if you don't have the motivation, if you don't have the grit to do it, you're not going to implement anything. So just, you know, this is, I guess I'm speaking from my personal experience of, you know, where I've been recently, and hopefully that, you know, serves you guys well.
Yeah, perfect. I love it. So Lorien, people can find you online under Lorien Cameron, Instagram, Facebook. Are you on TikTok yet?
I actually did had a really good crack at TikTok, and then I had a really good break from TikTok. So I'm starting to think about, you know, maybe making a reappearance.
Yeah, nice. I'll have to go check it out. I think, again, being open to new platforms. I mean, I speak to so many people and they're like, you know, that's just for kids or whatever, but there's a lot of untouched stuff going on at the moment. So I'm excited to go and check out your singing and dancing on TikTok. But again, thank you so much for joining us. I really, really appreciate it, and good luck with all of your new current ventures. I'm pumped to watch it all unfold.
Yeah, thanks, man. I just want to say, you know, I'm so actually grateful that we've reconnected. And it's just reminded me that, you know, we do both come from that, you know, hard past a little bit, so to speak. And, you know, we've been warriors and come from zero to hero and back to zero and hero again, maybe a couple of times. So yeah, so grateful that we've reconnected, buddy. And let's stay close, because I think people like us need to stick together.
100%. Thank you. And we will chat again soon.
Ciao for now.